stand for the prayer. Today's chaplain is our very own Senator Andrew Matthews from Senate District 15. And following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning again, my friends. Let's take a moment and pray. Lord, thank you again for this beautiful day that you've given us. Thank you for the circumstances and the challenges that you've presented to us. This has been presented by many as a battle. We're faced with a battle that we're trying to fight, and it's a new variety that we've never dealt with before. And I ask that you would give us a battle plan like King Jehoshaphat used. When he was faced with a battle, he cried out and said, "We don't know what to do, Lord, but our eyes are upon you." And I ask that you would give us that plan as you give us wisdom. Let our eyes be heavenward, seeking wisdom and wise counsel as we make choices and decisions that are in front of us. Again, we ask for your blessings, for your peace and your strength upon law enforcement, upon first responders, doctors and nurses, and many who are stepping up and doing extra work in trying to help care for those in need right now. Strengthen them, Lord, and pour out your rich blessings upon them. We ask these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Secretary will take the roll.
Senators Abler, Anderson B., Anderson P., Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Cohen, Swedzinski, Dames, Dibble, Draheim, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Franzen, Friends, Gazelka, Goggin, Hall, Herr, Hayden, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Jasinski, Jensen, Johnson, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Lane, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Little, Marty, Matthews, Miller, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Pappas, Pratt, Rarick, Ralph, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Simonson, Sparks, Tomasoni, Torres, Ray, Utke, Weber, Westrom, Uyghur, Wickland.
A quorum is present. Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson B., Bigham, Carlson, Clausen, Swazinski, Dames, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Hall, Herr, Hayden, Isaacson, Johnson, Klein, Lang, Lane, Latz, Limmer, Little, Marty, Newman, Newton, Osmick, Pappas, Rest, Ralph, Rude, Senjum, Simonson, Sparks, Torsway, Weber, and Wicklund. Members will begin on the agenda today with the fifth order of business, reports of committees. There are 3 reports to be read by the Secretary.
Senator Rosen from the Committee on Finance, to which was referred Senate File Number 4486, a bill for an act relating to state finances establishing an account in the federal fund, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill do pass. Just keep reading. Senator Pratt from the Committee on Jobs and Economic Growth, Finance and Policy, to which was referred Senate File Number 4481, a bill for an act relating to economic development, modifying small business loan transfers. Report the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert, and when so amended, the bill do pass and be re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Pursuant to Joint Rule 2.03, the bill was referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration.
Senator Gazelka. Oh, we got one more report. I'm sorry.
Senator Abler from the Committee on Human Services Reform, Finance and Policy, to which was referred Senate File Number 3694, a bill for an act relating to human services, restoring a requirement for notice to lead agencies when min choices assessments are required for personal care assistance services. Reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert. And when so amended, the bill do pass and be re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Pursuant to Joint Rule 2.03, the bill was referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration.
Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that the committee reports be adopted with the exception of the reports pertaining to Joint Rule 2.03.
Discussion on the Gazelka motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes from the members in the alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Moving to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills, the Secretary will read the Senate file.
Senate File Number 4486.
Senate File 4486 is given its second reading. Moving to the eighth order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills listed in today's Senate introduction calendar are Senate File numbers 4503 through 4524. These Senate files are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Moving to the ninth order of business, motions and resolutions. There are several authors' motions listed in the agenda. We have two additional author motions to be read by the Secretary.
Senator Jasinski moves that his name be stricken as chief author shown as a co-author, and the name of Senator Newman be added as the chief author of Senate File Number 3255. Senator Anderson P. moves that the name of Senators Pratt, Housley, and Isaacson be added as co-authors to Senate File Number 4481.
We will adopt the authors' motions that are listed in the agenda and the additional motions read by the Secretary as one motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We will take a brief pause to gather the votes from the members in the alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Ingebrigtsen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate File 4499 be withdrawn from the Committee on Environmental Finance and Legacy Finance and be re-referred to the Committee on Environmental Natural Resources Finance.
Discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We will again take a pause to gather the votes from the members in the alternate locations. This motion requires 41 votes to prevail, so I will call on Senator Gazelka to cast the votes of the members voting remotely. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, Senator Bruce Anderson votes aye.
Senator Anderson votes aye. Senator Gazelka, you can just read down the list. I believe we need 7 of them.
Dames, Hall, Newman, Ralph, Rude, Weber, and Bruce Anderson.
Receiving the 41 votes necessary, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions.
Where's the microphone?
Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, I move to re-refer House or Senate File 4495 from Ag Policy to the Ag, Rural Development, and Housing Finance Committee.
Discussion on the motion. Again, members, this motion will require 41 votes to pass. All those in favor of the Westrom motion say aye. Opposed say no. We will take a pause to capture
I'd like to find
the votes of the members in alternate locations as well as those voting remotely. I will now call on Senator Gazelka to relay the votes of 7 members voting remotely. Senator Gazelka.
Senator Bruce Anderson, Gary Dames, Dan Hall, Scott Newman, Dave Osmick, Kerry Rude, and Bill Weber are yes.
Receiving the 41 votes necessary, the motion prevails. Members, before I call...
Mr. President.
Senator Gazelka.
I'm sorry. I don't know for sure on Senator Kerry Rude. It was Senator Jerry Ralph.
Senator Ralph. Okay. Members, before we go to Senator Gazelka for a recess, are there any announcements? Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, I rise for a point of personal privilege of the Senate.
Please proceed, Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, members, during this time of unprecedented times, lots of uncertainty out there, some fear, some doom and gloom, I just want to take this time to celebrate and talk about such a milestone in life and a legacy and the great celebration today that my grandmother, Dorothy Westrom of rural Elbow Lake, is celebrating her 100th birthday today, still living on her own out in the country. And Grandma, while I'm here and we've had to cancel the family get-together and the celebration of this tremendous milestone in life that few get to experience, I want to wish you a very happy birthday. From the Minnesota State Senate, and to all the people that are celebrating their 100th birthday today, may it be a special day for you to celebrate, and what a legacy you have left for us. All those that have accomplished this milestone, you are very few. This is a great time during this time to just pause and celebrate those that have led before us. The pilgrims, the pioneers, the ones that led the way 100 years ago. And Mr. President, I was thinking about these times, and when my grandmother was born on April 23rd, 1920, that was at the end of the last Spanish flu pandemic this country was experiencing. And 100 years later, unfortunately, we were celebrating or experiencing another pandemic. But members, it doesn't have to get us down. Let's celebrate the great things in life, like 100th birthday of my grandmother, Dorothy Westrom, in rural Elbow Lake, and all the others in our state that are celebrating their birthday today and their 100th birthday. And for anybody watching in rural Elbow Lake and Elbow Lake area that knows my grandmother, if you have a chance, take a time to call her and to wish her a very happy birthday, as we've all had to refrain from getting together in such large groups, and make her day a very special day. Thank you, Mr. President and members, for your indulgence.
Well, a very happy birthday to Senator Westrom's grandmother, Grandma Dorothy. Further announcements, Senator Abler.
Curious times, Mr. President, to have to wash off things, but it's that kind of a time. And I think that I don't think it's been ever possible to have the people at home watch somebody wash off the microphone while we're waiting for the next speaker to come. And I think it's productive for those folks to see that we're actually doing business in a safe way. And I think it's, Mr. President and members, I think it's a good thing we're here. And I think it's important that we're here even twice a week doing what we're doing and keeping the workings of the people's voice in government operational. And I want to thank the Secretary of the Senate and his staff and the sergeants for the work they've done to make it so possible. It's still very unusual to have to speak and only see 14 other members of the Senate, but I want to just commend them for that. And Mr. President, actually, I came today to do a couple things. One is to apologize. I got a call from the Walmart people, and they said, you know, we hear you on the floor, and by the way, we're working really hard to make sure that we're safe. And so they actually sent me their internal documents about their safety procedures, and they apparently have time available if you have a risky case. Like if you're vulnerable, you can go at a certain time in the morning because I guess they're up then anyway. And you can do your shopping. And he was actually very kind. He didn't threaten to sue me or anything. And he said, we just want you to know that we care and we're trying. And so I wanted to just set that straight, Mr. President. And so people really should go to Walmart. If they want to bring their grandma, it's maybe put her in a mask, but go and so she can live to be 100, like Senator Westrom's mom. And I also wanted to kind of apologize as well to Senator Kent. We had a little dialogue on Twitter, and she enlightened me about something that I did not know. She used the word dishonest, which I thought was a little hard because I pride myself on trying to work hard, do my best, and always tell the truth. But so she pointed out to me that when I suggested, there's a little meme going around. There's the concern for safety, the business economic concerns, and then the concern for the overreach of government. And then there's a place in the middle you can say me, and so I'm squarely looking for safety, want business to open, and just concerned that we all retain our proper roles in government. And so that was the meme, and so I said, well, you should work on the other two, and then she pointed out to me on Twitter that, in fact, the governor was already working on the business stuff, and so that was helpful and enlightening to me. And so I went on the website to see what DEED is doing about that, and they have a whole list of things that they're working on. I understand the governor is going to announce today that he's going to reopen manufacturing and offices and something else, which I want to thank him for doing that. I could not be happier that more places have a chance to open. And I just was talking to the governor's staff and looking for the definition of office, which would be a place that people would go and simply talk about things. And so then maybe a wedding planner working in an office, could sit with their two clients using all the standards that they should use. Maybe a retail store isn't just there yet, but I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, but I wanted to point out that there's some people that aren't included, and this is a good list. And I wanted to thank the governor for actually working on this. And I want to point out that there's a lot of businesses in my town that are actually sole proprietors. And in the list of things they're supposed to do, it says, make sure the employees know about your safety procedures, and if they're sick, what they do. And so in this case, they would simply tell themselves and call themselves that they're sick and not open the door that day. And so the point of that is some of the manufacturing places that are going to open up, and so happy they're opening, are going to be far less safe than some of these Main Street places that already want a chance to go to work. And so, Governor, thank you for that. And thanks for giving some of these places, perhaps the offices on Main Street, the chance to open. But I referred last time to a concern I have, and on the safety part. There's a bunch of elements of safety, and it's not just people getting COVID. It's people getting a problem due to COVID, like killing themselves. That would be a kind of an undesirable side effect. People abusing their spouse or their child. People being depressed and sitting looking out the window in the backyard. People drinking too much. You can't go to church, but you can go to liquor store. So there's plenty of liquor around, and so on. And that's as big a deal to that individual as not coming down with the COVID virus. And as I write on Twitter and so on, I hope people understand that I am for safety. Safety is really important, but so is helping the sole proprietor at least go to their shop and just dabble around in case somebody wanders in. People are voting with their feet. They're going to come out eventually, but they're going to come in ones and twos and maybe go look for some shoes at Peterson Shoes in Anoka instead of having to, well, they should go to Walmart too. They have really good shoes there, Mr. President. But I got an email from a friend of mine, and I just want you to know how it's going for some of these folks. And this is a true email. Hello, Jim. Today I think I hit a breaking point. I see my kids at home and not with friends. The unemployment numbers increase. Small businesses going under. Levels of depression rising. Mental health deteriorating. What are we going to do? And I just wanted to point out, I did a little research, and I'm sorry Dr. Klein is not here to help me through this, because there's a lot of psychiatric journals that have written about unemployment, economic recession, and suicide. And I just looked at the World Journal of Psychiatry. I looked at Psychology Today, and a couple other really thoughtful journals. And it says people that when they get depressed and unemployed, they tend to kill themselves too much. And so, Governor, as you're moving into this, I encourage you not to forget that in the name of one safety, we don't neglect the other safety. And as the chairman in charge of the abuse department, where we worry about child protection and safety, I just want to caution you that Senator Western mentioned that his grandma was around in 1918 for the pandemic. I would hate to think that there's some kid who's 4 years old going to be beat on by their dad or mom or somebody else, and because they're so discouraged, they just don't know what to do. They feel so helpless and powerless. And they're going to abuse that child in some way that they'll never recover from. And that will last 96 more years for that person if they live as long as Senator Western's grandma. So Governor, I have told you over and over again, I am with you to solve this. I'm here to help. The legislature is here to help. The Senate's operating. We're doing our best. But the power to open these companies that are safe. And oh, by the way, these duties that you had, my district can do all of these. They were eager to do it. And so just remember, you're
Mr.
the one who can
President.
sign the paper, and I would be most grateful.
Senator-
And thank you,
Senator
Mr.
Kent.
President.
Members, before I call on Senator Kent, members, I've allowed some leniency on announcements of Senate interest. That went above and beyond the leniency. Let's keep the comments of Senate interest to that announcements of Senate interest. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President, and you anticipated my concern. We all know that there is a virus that is contagious, and when we spend a lot of additional time in here, it puts people at risk. And I just want to say that, and I appreciate your comment, it is important that we stick to what is most relevant and relevant to that particular order of business. So I appreciate your making that point. Thank you.
Further announcements of Senate interest. Senator Tomassoni.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is one speaker too late, but I think it's appropriate. It's not very often that we have a member who has a grandmother who has a birthday that's 100 years old, and we're meeting right on the day of her birthday. And so I think, Mr. President, it's appropriate that I move for a recess so that we can actually stand up and give Senator Westrum's grandmother an applause.
Senator Tomassoni moves for a brief recess. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The Senate is in recess. Again, a very happy birthday to Senator Westrum's grandmother, Dorothy Westrum. The Senate will come back to order. Any other announcements before we go to recess again? Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we're going to recess to process the Rules Committee report. That'll be sometime around 3 o'clock when we come back. And I just want to remind people of where we're heading, what's coming next week, and encouraging people to keep our eye on the ball here as we're moving forward. COVID-19 has to be our number one thing, that we make sure that we're taking care of everything we can as a legislative body. Number two, what are we doing to make sure that the small business owners, the people that work for them, have a job when they come back? And then number three, what are we looking at for how we position ourselves for the budget that we're going to have to deal with next year? And so with that in mind, next week on Monday, we should take up the federal funds language that gives legislative oversight, so that should be a robust conversation. And then taxes will be Thursday. We'll bring up the tax bill. We have to decide whether Wednesday or Thursday, or whether we need a Wednesday meeting as well. But those are two of the big pieces, and then the other big piece coming forward will be the bonding bill. That should come out of committee sometime relatively soon as well. And so just keep our eye on the ball. Those are the things that we have to get done, but that's what you should look forward to for next week. So with that, Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 1/2 hour after the Rules Committee adjourns.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate recess until 30 minutes after the adjournment of the Senate Rules Committee. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The Senate is in recess.